Hey y'all, thank you for coming back. If you're coming back, if it's your first time, welcome, 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 welcome. And now that you're here, thanks for being here to everyone. Today I wanted to talk about, have I ever felt afraid while traveling? Um, Usually they ask it in relation to me traveling alone, doing the solo travel thing. Um, but the answer to that is like really short. Like, no, I've never felt scared to travel alone. I mean, maybe I did have a little fear in the beginning, like um, just worried that I'd do it right, kind of thing. But as far as like fear of like my safety or something, no, no, I never had that. I never had that come up. But one thing, there was one time where I was afraid, just in general, afraid. If I was anywhere that this had happened, whether I was with a group or whatever, I still would have been afraid. And that was a time when I was in Ecuador. I had been in Peru for a while, and I went to Ecuador, which is just next door, um, and yeah, it was a nice bus ride. It was I can't remember if it was like maybe 10 hours or something, but I was on like one of these nice buses. Peru, don't sleep on Peru. Peru got some nice buses. Like they put Greyhound to shame. Well, Greyhound, Trailways, whatever they put to shame. What I've been used to, you know. Now we have like Flixbus. I've taken Flixbus in Europe, and I've taken Flixbus in in the States here. They have it here now. Um, and I don't know if Megabus still exists, but I've taken that too. But the buses that I experienced in Peru were top notch, top notch. It was like luxury, luxury. We had hot food. Yes, they had like the bus steward, like they bring around food and we played bingo. It was beautiful. Anyway, I digress. I tend to do that. I tend to do that. But so this time that I was afraid, I had taken a bus from Peru into Ecuador, and once I got to Ecuador, I think I came into Guayaquil, and I might have been there for a few days, and then I took a bus into this area called Puerto Lopez, and it's a beach town, like a fishing village town kind of thing. Really like low key, relaxed. I loved it. Not too far from some other places that are a little bit, more like party central, like Montanita and Manta. So Puerto Lopez is like more like local, which is what I like, right? But this particular week or so that I had decided to go there, the weather, you can't mess with Mother Nature. You cannot mess with Mother Nature. Mother Nature ain't no joke. Mother Nature is no joke. Anyway, yeah, Mama Nature, you had decided that there was going to be more than a storm. I think there had been an earthquake in Japan. I feel like it. This was a long time ago, so I gotta kind of remember. But I feel like there was an earthquake in Japan, which they were worried was going to cause a tsunami to hit where I was in Ecuador. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I've mentioned this in a prior video. Like I don't really swim like that. I mean, I like the beach. I like to, now I will get in the water at the beach and stuff like that. But so you start mentioning tsunami. First of all, swimming ain't gonna help you in a tsunami, right? You gotta get out of Dodge, more or less. So uh I was walking through town. I think I had gone to get something to eat, and then all of a sudden I hear this like blaring horn sound. And I didn't know what it was. I mean, okay, this might sound a little crazy, but I was like, is this some sort of call to prayer? You know how they have I didn't know. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know. I had no idea. I had never been in a town where this was an issue. I had never heard, and I was ironically staying in a beach town in Peru. There's a little beach town called Pimentel. And I had never, I had never heard this horn sound there either. Like, so I had no idea. And anyway, I start to see people walking like with a little bit of haste, which you don't see a lot outside of like the States. Like people usually kind of laid back, especially in beach towns, People, and I saw, a little pep in a step, a little bit. And I was like, okay, what's going on? So anyway, I come back from the restaurant and I get to the hostel, and this young lady who was working there was like, oh, did you hear the horn? And I'm like, yeah. And she was like, oh, so what are you gonna do? I said, what am I gonna do? Like, I don't know. What are you talking about? And then she explains to me that this horn means that there's like bad weather. There's a bad weather situation. So I was like, oh, and I've seen like in beach towns when they talk about like the evacuation route, and I've seen these signs places, but I've never heard any sort of a warning. I don't know. I don't know what I thought. I don't know how they were supposed to alert people to something. Not really clear. I was a novice traveler. I'm still not an expert, but I have had experiences. So as it's getting a little later in the day, and now I'm starting to see cars are moving and people are kind of leaving the beach area and whatnot. And I wasn't like right on the beach. We were a few streets back from the beach. But the owner of the hostel and the staff, they didn't seem to be so worried, but I could hear on news reports that were mostly in Spanish. This is where at least my ear to Spanish was a little bit better, even though my ability to speak Spanish was non-existent really. I speak Spanglish. So, but I was able to get information, kind of bits and pieces from the news that they were given, and basically they were saying that there were some concerns that it might hit where we were. And tsunami, I'm like, can't survive a tsunami. So they were like suggesting. Now I hear I guess it was the police or the military or something who were coming by in vehicles, like riding down the street, and they were like telling people to evacuate. They were telling people to evacuate and go to higher ground. And so there was apparently a place that you could go, but there was like no public vehicles. You know what I'm saying? Like no taxi, no no. I guess the taxi driver went to higher ground. There was no taxi, and there was no like bus or anything that was going to take me up there or whatever. And again, the owner of the hostel, they were staying put. They were not really that worried. And there was myself and at least one other female solo traveler who was at the hostel, and I think there were a couple of guys as well. The guys were totally like drinking beer and didn't care. Like, really. I was a little, I was a little on edge. I mean, I remember I actually did a FaceTime call with one of my friends, and I was like, they said a tsunami might hit. She was like, what? She was in like a bar situation. She was like, what? Like what? Like, let me go outside. Like, I don't think I'm hearing you right. And I'm telling her, and she was like, telling her friend, she was like, oh my gosh, my friend is there, and this is like a tsunami coming or something. And they were like, oh no. So she's trying to check, the weather reports and all kind of stuff. Yeah, that was a little something. That was something. But me and this other female solo traveler, we kind of sort of bonded a little bit over the crisis, right? And it did rain really hard, and we did have some flooding, but a tsunami did not hit. Like as it kind of wore on a little bit. Yeah, we knew that it wasn't going to hit there. Oddly enough, they were saying that it was going to hit the town area where I had come from, which was Pimentel in Peru. So that was a little like, yeah. So I was like, I guess I couldn't escape this lesson. Even if I had wanted to, had I stayed, I would have had the lesson of the storm. And the fact that I left for this little vacation, I had the lesson of the storm and how to get through it. But that was one time when I was actually afraid. I was actually afraid because I felt like I was totally out of my element. I was totally out of my comfort zone. I didn't know what to do. Obviously, when, the authorities are riding down the street and telling you to, evacuate or, seek higher ground or, stay inside or, whatever information they're giving you, you want to abide by that. Clearly, but it was a little, it gave me pause. I would be lying if I said anything else. It gave me pause. But that one weather situation, was the only thing that I can recall that ever had me really afraid. It had me afraid, So, yeah, I would say just be knowledgeable of exit routes, have a way to get good news information in your language, right? Yeah, in your language. So try to find, if you have to, get weather updates or whatever, figure out how you're going to be able to get that in your language so that you can feel comfortable. And yeah, just take the advice of those who know better, and in this particular instance, I did trust that the owner of the hostel didn't want to die either. And because she was able to fully understand what the weather people were saying, she felt more comfortable with staying in her, location, and with us being there, right? Because she wouldn't want to be liable for something happening to a whole bunch of people or whatever. So she was okay with it. And she said, yeah, sometimes when they have like heavy storms and stuff, there is some flooding, but that it wouldn't affect us. Yes, there was some heavy rains and a little bit of water, a few inches of water or whatever, but where we were, elevated enough that nothing came in, or there was no damage. We were fortunate. We were fortunate because who knows what's going to happen when it comes down to weather. But that's the only thing that I can think of, the only time that I can think of being really, really afraid. Maybe there were some other times where I should have been afraid of something. I don't know. But that was the only time I can think of ever being afraid. And I wasn't so much afraid because I was alone as I was just because, it was bad weather and I didn't know what to expect. Yeah. Yeah, that's about it. Anyway, I still want to encourage you, things happen everywhere. Do your best to be prepared. Go. Have the adventure. Do the thing. You know, you'll work it out. Just like you would problem solve if you were at home, you problem solve when you're on the road. Nothing is different. Wherever you go, there you are. Right? Anywho, I want to thank you for spending this time with me, listening to me talk about my experiences in travel. Travel is my passion, my joy. I think that sharing information is my purpose. Working with people, doing things with others, that's just who I am and who I enjoy being. So I just want to encourage you to get out there, figure out where you want to go, and then plan it and do it. Okay? So if you haven't already, please give me a thumbs up. I need it. Thank you. Yes. Like, share, comment, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe. Okay? A sister would truly appreciate that. Yes, I would. Okay. Ciao for now.